we will begin with a bow and a recitation of the four great vows. Please bow. I vow to deliver innumerable sentient beings of self-nature. I vow to cut off endless vexations of self-nature. I vow to master limitless approaches to Dharma of self-nature. I vow to attain supreme Buddhahood of self-nature. Welcome. We're going to continue our discussion on a little bit of the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, and we were talking about the two hindrances. And I think that this is very important because the discussion about the two hindrances really goes to the essence of the perfection of Buddha Dharma, where it had come out, and around 1,500 years later, there was an evolution of thought concerning Buddha Dharma. It wasn't that it's different. It is still the same Buddha Dharma rooted in what the Buddha taught. Some may differ about that, but nevertheless, it retains all the essence of what the Buddha's early teachings were. What it did was it moved along in a way where in the second turning of the Dharma wheel, there was more of an emphasis on the perfection of wisdom. And you begin to see this in the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, even going further than from the awakening of faith in Mahayana. This was something that was going into a much more profound manner of the explanation of how mind works. And in this mix, we have all of the doctrines and principles of the Abhidharma school, the Yogacara school, and Madhyamaka school, this middle way, which kind of takes this Abhidharma, everything is real from the Theravadan side, and then changes that in the Mahayana, but also in the Yogacara school, where things are saying it's just consciousness only or mind only school. And then you get this middle ground, Madhyamaka, where in the Madhyamaka, it takes all of that and says, there is this apparent reality and this absolute reality. This apparent reality is phenomenal, and this is the noumenon, and this noumenon is, they're not separate. And it says it's this middle way, but one cannot, in the practice, find sufficient words to explain the absolute. And in all the sutras, for instance, Astashastrika Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra, one of the very early Mahayana sutras, it throws one into the inconceivable, the non-conceptual. And this is a very high-level doctrine in terms of saying that if you're trying to paddle to become enlightened, you just keep paddling and paddling and paddling, there's no amount of paddling that's going to get you through to the middle. That one has to let go of the phenomenal and the nature of phenomena to be able to go through. On the other hand, one cannot simply dwell on the absolute because it is not functional. So there was an emphasis here on the essence and the function or functionality, where it comes into the demonstration of the practice. And this is very important because as you see this forming, it's very incredible. You even see the progression from awakening of faith in Mahayana to this Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment. And Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment is a very interesting animal. It is one that is a combination of different animals. It starts off with pure Mahayana uh, wisdom, perfected wisdom, and demonstration of wisdom, and sudden illumination. Then going into towards the end, um, a gradual approach. So it says if you can't get it on the very first chapters of the sutra, at least take the gradual approach, and you here's a way to practice. If you can get it on the first chapters, pretty good. But then if you don't get it, at least they're showing you gradually how to do it. But the wonder of that sutra is that it still remains or maintains this essence of perfection of wisdom. And it does so in such a wonderful and delicate way to be able to do that. It is pointing towards this Buddha nature, and in this way, you can see the evolution of Buddha Dharma. And again, this is not an evolution to say that it is evolved away from the basic. It isn't that way at all. It is that it is accentuating what the Buddha was teaching. And the Buddha was teaching in a particular environment that nobody knew what he was talking about. Sounds familiar. But in any case, it is something that he was trying to make it uh, palatable and understandable for people to practice it. But still, within all of that, he maintained this perfection of wisdom there. It's just that one has to be able to see it there. Some people think the practice is as if one is digging and trying to develop some gold that's there, but it isn't in this way. Originally, the gold is already there. It is not something that comes into being. It's already there. And even the dross on the gold, if you took a piece of gold, it may have a lot of dirt clinging to it or other matters clinging to it. But if one polishes it, one did not lose the dross, nor did they manufacture or create gold. It's always been there. And that's what the Mahayana is looking at. And that gold that what we talk about is Buddha nature. And that's really important. But when we say Buddha nature, there's not really a definition that we can say, what is Buddha nature? Because we would say Buddha nature is just the mere operation of mind, but we use the term of Tathagata, meaning the thus come one, or Tathagata, thus gone one, because we're speaking of thusness. What is the definition of thus? It is what it is. And there isn't anything that we can add to the definition that would be able to bring you to a realization simply by saying the words. If it was that easy, this would be something that everybody right now could just stand in line and I could give them the words and they could become enlightened. But on the other hand, I'm doing that anyway. I'm doing it simply because since everyone maintains a Buddha nature, and this was part of the turning of the Dharma wheel, at the third turning, that everybody has it, then there is nothing to become enlightened to, because one already has it, but we take away the one from that and return it to its source. this week I've been talking to many people about practice and how they practice. And I've been mentioning, go back to the source. When we say rest the mind, what we're doing is we're resting the mind in its source. Well, what is the source? And this is what Ningtu Farun said. Mind is the source. What is the substance of it? Mind. Everything returns to the mind, even the one. So when we no longer have a one, then everything is within the absolute. But in this way that we look at things, and we'll go into it in a moment, there's not a distinguishment between that which is the dross and that which is the gold, that which is phenomena, and that which is the absolute. This is why the Madhyamaka school was pointing to the middle way, to be able to accept this. And actually, when we do this, it the practice becomes easy. One of you was writing after I was clarifying in one uh, uh, piece of writing that I had done. It's just that simple, and it is. It's just that simple. We make it difficult, but when I constantly come back to the refrain of resting in mind, it's resting the mind in mind. We don't have to worry about putting down the phenomena and picking up the absolute. They are already there. When one practices in this way, it changes the way that one practices. We're no longer searching the sutras for some kind of an understanding. We see the common ground there that's simply repeating what I'm telling you now, that mind is mind. Apart from the mind, this mind that's listening to me right now, there is no other mind. It is in this way that one uh, has to perceive. This perception is your own mind's perception, not the perception of the five skandha. When everything is perceived in this way, how is this perception different? This perception is different because it's devoid of the two hindrances. It's devoid of the phenomenal hindrance, um, and devoid of the the cognitive hindrance, um, which later on, um, and I kind of got ahead of myself here. Um, the the hindrance of afflictive hindrance and the cognitive hindrance was the first evolution of the two hindrances, and these were the ones that were in the awakening of faith in Mahayana and in the Yogacara school. And then it changed to the hindrance was the hindrance of wisdom and the phenomenal hindrance that we see in this way, that these afflictions are not separate from mind itself. So there was a subtle change there, that one saw that this cognition is not a separate cognition of something of subject and object. It moved away from this kind of a duality or even an idea that there is a difference there into wisdom itself. So when the world is seen with wisdom, let's say from Nagarjuna's six perfections of the wisdom, when one is practicing this, and the way we practice it is maintain the mind within these perfections, this is the demonstrating of it, then the mind is settled. This is then the mind no longer has obstructions to it. When we when the mind is aware of phenomena, it doesn't see things in that way. It understands that in this world, there are appearances. These appearances are not separate from mind. They are part of mind, appear in mind. That's why we say that there isn't really these afflictions or nirvana, because all of those notions, they're conceptions. We say, I am afflicted, but I want to go to nirvana. When we think in this way, then it is binding us to some preconceived notion of what we believe mind is. But that is what obstructs us. It's very important that we have to simply rest the mind. In the beginning, it's difficult for us to rest the mind because we go, rest the mind, rest the mind. Okay, I'm not feeling it, Gilbert. Just rest the mind. How long do I have to rest the mind? Can I get a drink of water? Rest the mind. I've got to pee. Just sit quiet. I got to get out of it or I may end up not finishing this lecture. You rest the mind. There's nothing funny about that. Just do it. Just do it. Resting the mind. And when you do that, when you get up off the cushion, you rest the mind. When you get up off the cushion, you're no longer bothered by the phenomena around you, unless somebody's there and says, I thought you were supposed to take out the trash cans. I can hear the trash truck coming down the road. And then you go, oh my gosh. Or whatever it is, you get a ticket on the road or whatever, that now yourself's coming back. I got a ticket, or I forgot to do this, or I'm in trouble here, or I won this, whatever it is. When the I comes back, the mind is not rested. It is there being tossed and turned in the karma. But the funny thing about that, all that's being tossed and turned is a dream. It's phenomenal. It is there. But if the mind is settled, then it's not a hindrance. It's not an affliction. The phenomena is also part of mind. What we don't understand is that that phenomena is temporary. It appears that it's all connected like a string of beads, but we know the string of beads is just simply independent beads that are connected, but because of the attachment from karma, it puts them together into what we perceive to be an appearance or phenomenon. And as a result of that, we move along the string of beads and perceive them to be um, independent thoughts, but also connected in that way. They're connected because they're dependent on the bead that came before it to connect in. But if we just simply see that these beads are appearing as a product of mind itself, and that this karma is phenomenal, it is impermanent. There is no self there, and there's no suffering there. Then the marks of existence, they're gone, and the mind is settled. So we constantly, when you're meditating or whatever you're doing in your life, return the mind to the source. Drop the mind to rest. Drop it there and to rest it. And it works for everyone. The other day, I was presenting this to a very young man, and he sometimes had difficulty keeping his mind on track. But when I went through guided meditation, after I'd finished with him, he continued to sit for probably 30, 40 minutes, just resting the mind. He didn't have much um, deep Dharma training, although he actually was one of my youngest students that I had. Probably the only one younger than him was my own son. And but he was able to rest his mind right away. It didn't take any special training. He didn't have to go through anything. Just simply he understood resting the mind. And he was very, very calm, very incredible. So it doesn't have to have a superior, inferior training. It is just in this way that one practices. If you have um, a lot of training, so long as it's right view training, all the more so you'll be able to hold on to a deeper samadhi, so long as you don't think you're holding on to a deeper samadhi. But it is something that is universal because simply um, showing people how to practice by returning to the source. This is the way uh, that we practice, and in this way, it's very important how we practice in this way. Let me hold on a second. I haven't got to anything I wanted to talk about today, except I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. But let me mention one part since we're on it. And this is a Yogacar's Two Hindrances and Their Reinterpretation in East Asia. So in this article, it says, after permanently eliminating hindrances of phenomena and principle, one is able to enter the sublime. This is very, very important because I often mention that one of my elements in the practice is sublime. This is not one that comes right from the very beginning. It is one that I kind of separate it because it is not something that's manufactured, the sublimeness of the mind, but it is when the one returns to the source. There is a sublimeness there that we talk about it in this way from the Chan poem. Have you heard of the man of the Tao who has nothing to do? Or Master Shen Ying's busy doing nothing. It's the same thing. There's a sublimeness there. And if one rests the mind in the mind, returns the mind to the source, which naturally it wants to do, then wherever you course through, it's sublime. It can be a real, try to use better language, mud storm. And you can add whatever adjective you want to that. But it could be in your life a big mud storm, and yet the mind still maintains a sublimeness, a quietness there. It can deal with the things that are happening. When Gilbert is around, I don't have that. I'm like Sariputra, all covered with flowers, except I don't have flowers. I'm just all covered with mud, throwing mud. If Gilbert, the phenomena of Gilbert is return to the source, there's a sublimeness there that enables one to understand and to see the world exactly as it is. Then what is being seen? Causes and conditions never fail. That's from the source. That's the Buddha mind. Pratika Samapada. So this Pratika Samapada is just simply how the mind works. So then one cognitive side or the absolute side can see through this. And there is a clarity that's happening. This is a clarity of mind itself. It is not manufactured. It is not like an actor acting. Nothing bothers me. It doesn't do that. Because even if I act like that, I would be like Sariputra, where the flowers stick to him because he's still apprehending good and bad. But if one simply sees mind as it is and how it functions, we understand that. When we don't understand that, we're afraid of dying. How many of you are afraid of dying? Again, I'm not going to test this or do anything because I don't want to get struck by a thunderbolt tomorrow. Just say, well, you see what you tempted. But it is something that is fear and confusion. Because if we see everything as a dream, then there's no hindrance there on the phenomenal side. And on the other side, on the knowing side, it is the knowing of wisdom. This knowing of wisdom is simply mind knowing mind, not you. You don't know mind, but mind knows you. So it's easy. Slow it down. I'm talking, let's say, profound in some ways, but it's very simple. If you listen to it, you just bring it down. Rest the mind in the present moment. The Buddha is in the present moment. You rest it there. Rest it all the time. What's your function right now? Your essence is listening to the Dharma. So you pay attention. Why do you pay attention? Maybe because you want to become enlightened, or more importantly, you want to share this with others. You go, wait, I've got to really listen because other people need to listen to this. It can help them. It can resolve the suffering. It can awaken them out of the dream of suffering. Mind is just this. When we see things in this way, then these two hindrances are not there. And these hindrances, before they came in this way of cognitive again and afflictions, and it was changed to phenomenal and the absolute, because this is the truth. The absolute is represented by this perfected wisdom. When we operate under this idea of this perfected wisdom, then there's no you there, simply the source, moving through the source. Understanding within samsara, it is a dream, but you are provisionally here. Doesn't mean that you are made up of the substance of the dream in a temporary way. It is the source navigating through its own creation. It is the source navigating through its own creation. Everything is created by the mind. When the mind courses through, this is the perfected wisdom. Anyuttara Samyak Sambodhi, the highest wisdom, unexcelled wisdom. This is all you have to do, moment to moment. We can call it all these big names, and it's my job to know all of these big names and the theories and the doctrines and whatever, but we can cut through that. All you have to do is moment to moment to moment, return to the source. There's not one of you that can't do that. Not one of you. You can all do this. That's why they say there's neither superior nor inferior practitioners. All of you can get in. Okay? So it's harder to qualify to get into Costco than to become enlightened. You don't need a membership card. No, you're already in. It's already that way. You don't have to get a certificate. You don't have to put anything down. Quite to the contrary, as you're navigating through samsara, you're a trash collector. Master Sheng used to say, people come to me all the time and dump their garbage on me. I know that I understand that more now. But that's what he was there for. But when he meant it in that way, he meant it to say that the people that just want to unload, but what we do is we listen and we help. We can take others' garbage, whatever it is, whether it's um, marital affairs, health problems, emotional problems. We're an ear, we listen. But in turn, we give them the keys for their own tranquility to help them. If the people are only interested in misery loves company, then it doesn't work very well. And you have to instruct them. You're not that kind of a receptacle. What you are is someone to help. Lend them your own wisdom. The funny thing about that is the more you lend your wisdom to others, the more people will come to you with different kinds of problems. My goodness, I have so many different kinds of problems, that people come. It's okay because I practice patience. So I have the patience to listen to people and to guide them. Why not? Because the more I listen, the more I develop a connection with them that in this lifetime or the next one, that I will still maintain the vow to deliver them. So this is how our practice works. It's very, very wonderful in that way. Oh, I forgot to go back to reading. I got caught on the word sublime. Sublime, perfect enlightenment of the Tathagata, able to accomplish Bodhi and great nirvana. Good sons, all sentient beings without exception actualize perfect enlightenment. So all sentient beings without exception actualize perfect enlightenment. We don't understand that. We don't understand that. But it's because all of us, as we have evolved in our practice of Buddhism, we evolve in a way in which we have understand that everyone has Buddha nature. By the way, Santa, I sent you a copy of this right before, so I don't know if you got it or not. It was the first page that I sent. It's okay though. I'm not going to dwell on this too long. Oh, here it comes. So this is mine here. Thank you. And it says, when you meet a genuine teacher, this is right underneath the part that was highlighted, rely, or right before it, I should say. When you meet a genuine teacher, rely on the Dharma practice of the causal stage that he sets up for you. This is important. When you meet a well-known advisor, the sutras are always talking about well-known advisors, and it's the same thing here. What if there's someone that you believe that you have faith in what they're saying, they're setting up the practice for you, just as I'm setting up the practice for you now. So what is the practice, the Dharma practice? Rest in the present moment. Rest in the source. Return mind to mind. This is your Dharma practice. And so when we see this of the causal stage, so I'm telling you this in this phenomenal stage that we're in, these appearances, in this dream, that this mind is here provisionally in accordance to present the Dharma and present the Dharma practice. So in this causal stage, this is how you practice that he sets up. So I've set it up for you. If you have faith in it, you can't go wrong. It's like shooting an arrow into the sky, wanting to hit anything. It's going to hit something. When you follow this practice, both sudden and gradual will be included. If you come upon the correct path of the practice of the unsurpassed Bodhi of the Tathagatas, then there are no superior or inferior abilities of people. All accomplish Buddhahood. Why? Because they already have it. They just have to come out of the dream. So to be a Dharma teacher, sometimes we think, oh, it's so hard to do. But then on the other side, it's harder to fall out of a bed than to be a Dharma teacher because you're just telling people what they already have. Pretty simple. Only those people who have come into this world that have sentient beings of the other realms, especially the lesser realms, or those who were born um, with limited mental capacity in this lifetime, are unable to understand it. But so long as they have some mental capacity, they still can get it in this lifetime. Doesn't mean that they'll never get it because it's only in this lifetime, perhaps they're paying for the karma from past lifetimes that they have limited mental capacity. But everyone is a candidate. Even the ants are the candidate. Today in my kitchen, I had a bag of trash left over from a party I had, and there was some probably cake or something in it, and it was on the floor. And I think the entire ant population in the area came to feast. And my initial reaction is, let me vacuum him up or let me do something. And then I thought, if I remove the bag and be patient, they will they will leave on their own. And they did. It took the whole afternoon, but they left because there was nothing there. The the cause of them appearing was removed, so the condition was as they went on to wherever else, wherever else they can find something. But in this way, I respected these sentient beings. I still have to deliver them. How long is it going to take? I have time, the patience of the six paramitas. Again, how long does a dream take? How long does it really take? I've got all the time in the world from the past, present, and future. This is how mind sees things. This is the mind unobstructed. But to an individual, they'll be bugged. They'll go, oh, they're ants. I want to destroy them right now. But we just simply have to remove the cause. The condition will change. In this way, the ants and their benevolence showed me how to practice in this way so that we are not contrary to each other. I don't want to be an ant to be flooded in another lifetime. Okay. And this part's a little bit interesting. And it says, while we know the author of the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, the SPE means Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, and AMF means the Sutra of Awakening of the Faith of Mahayana, had both the Yogacara and AMF models of hindrances in mind while composing the sutra. When it comes to introducing them, he's referring to whoever the author was, starts by distancing himself from the prior models by abandoning their translated Chinese nomenclature. For cognitive hindrances and obstructions to wisdom, and here I put absolute, which is the wisdom of the absolute. He uses hindrances of principle for the afflictive hindrances, obstructions, and he uses hindrances of phenomena. He uses hindrances of phenomena. So when we say that for the afflictive hindrances, then that's the hindrances of phenomena. Again, it's getting closer to mind rather than separating it out to be something of a phenomenal duality. This is reference to Li and Shi, and forgive me if I don't say the word right in Chinese. I think Li is correct. Shi, as they're established in Huayan commentarial tradition, the Li refers to enlightenment at the level of apprehension of the empty character of existence. So this is getting very deep here, wherein the practitioner perceives suchness, and the shi refers to the ordinary discriminating consciousness. I would change wherein the practitioner perceives suchness. I would say whereas it mind is restored to the perception of suchness. There's not really a practitioner there. The Li Shi pair is also one of the many East Asian analogs for the Tiyong paradigm. Now we're getting really deep into this. Somebody that is well versed in Chinese, can you pronounce that word? Because it isn't spelled there. So maybe people in Chinese, I'm sure you would know the word. Robert, do you know that one?
Yes, the first one, Li, it pronounced as Li. And then the second word is Si. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. They say Li and SHI is Li and Si.
And then how about Tiyong?
Which one? That one, Tiyon. I can't figure that out.
Okay, did somebody put up something there in Chinese character? Oh, Wei Shan.
It's a T
Yeah.
and Yong.
Oh, I see. Oh, Tiyong.
Yeah.
Tiyong.
Yes.
Tiyong.
T is the
Okay, so those
substance.
who
Yong is
who
the
are
function.
listening that also are versed in Chinese, then that's what that, because it's important for you to kind of sometimes it's helpful to hear it in your own language. But this paradigm is of the substance and essence and the function and application. So when we see things and there's a change here, where we say there's a substance, but that substance, um, there's an essence, and then there's a function, and that's important. So one of them is the application of the function. The substance is the essence. So it's going directly to the Buddha nature, but what we say is all of that is part of the Buddha nature. So it's important how we look at that, but we see that there is this aspect of the substance of it, which is the essence being Buddha nature, and the function of Buddha nature. So this is um, why Buddhas appear in the world, or Bodhisattvas appear in the world. They appear provisionally into the phenomena, this dream that we think is this world. But when we look at it and we say it's a dream, but what's important is we understand the reason why bodhisattvas can appear provisionally in the world is because they are the creators of the dream. the dream belongs to the Buddha nature. So, of course, the Buddha nature, in its many manners of appearances, can appear within the dream provisionally, meaning that it's not of the dream, but it's there to sweep, 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 clean it up. So it's very interesting when we see this and we begin to understand what we're doing here. We're not the king. We're the janitors. We're just cleaning this up. Very interesting. Give me a second here. I want to, past that, it starts getting very detailed. I got a little bit of time. I want to bring a couple of other references in so I don't bury you in all of this theory. Thank you, Santa. And this was from actually a Tibetan source and talking about the middle way. And then you'll see how all of this, it kind of converges into this middle way, meaning that the middle way is straddling these two, this appearance provisionally in the apparent reality and the absolute here, and then there's this equanimity or equipoise that's there. This is what the Theravadas talked about as the jhana of upika, but in the upika there's just simply this balance there, but the balance there is one that we have may understand doctrinally, and that helps us understand how to enter, or it can be something that one can naturally go into, but it's difficult if one only relies on the natural. You may be only able to reach the stage of pratika Buddha, not meaning that they're not fully developed Buddha of Mahayana of delivering sentient beings. It's only a solitary Buddha state. So here we go. And this is from the Sutra of Noble Collection. Know the five skandha are like an illusion. Do not separate the illusion from the skandhas, free of thinking that anything is real. And this is very interesting. It's saying, don't separate the illusion from the skandha. What do you think that means? It means that we see the phenomenal. We do not dwell on the phenomenal. We dwell in non-dwelling. So if we separate the illusion from the skandha, then we have the perception that there is an ego, personality, life, or being that is looking at the illusion. Rather, all of that, all of those conceptual thinking of personality, ego, life, or being are also illusion. So it's kind of like, who are we kidding? Or we're kidding ourselves. But wait a minute, there's no self. It's not self. This is the same thing. Free from thinking that anything is real, or free of thinking anything is real, this is perfect wisdom conduct at its best. So when we are free from the idea that there is anything real, now this term real here is the term of saying it is something that is real in terms of the five skandha of form, sensation, perception, volition, and consciousness. All of those are illusions, and in that are also the ego, personality, life, or being. So the mind is free from those things thinking it's real, because you go, I can understand this, I can see the dream and stuff, but I still don't understand, because you'll never understand, because you're part of the dream. All the images conjured up, all oh, excuse me, this is a different one. From the King of Samadhi Sutra, all the images conjured up by a magician, the horses, elephants, chariots in his illusions, whatever may appear there, know that none of them is real. And it's just like that with everything there is, that nothing is real. And they reference this about horses, elephants, and chariots because there's a term in Sanskrit, travakataka, something like that. Santha, you might be able to tell me. It's a term for a charioteer.
Is it the king who's a charioteer?
Yeah, there's a term, and what they mentioned, the reason they mentioned that term and they mentioned these items is because it's often referred to as a simile for the Buddha, that the Buddha is this charioteer, can go across the sky and is all powerful. And they're saying everything like that and everything underneath it is just this way. So it's saying from the Buddha all the way on down, your conceptions of those things, they are just merely illusions. Now, this is from Nagarjuna, the knowledge of fundamental in the middle way. Like a dream, like an illusion, like a city of Gandharvas, it's how birth and that's how living, that's how dying are taught to be. So when we see this, is the Gandharvas the flowers?
They are a certain type of heavenly being.
So it's saying all of these things, like if whatever we see, whether we see something that's pure or beautiful or living and dying, whatever it is, that's how we see it, is as an illusion. And then Chandrakirti or Chandrakirti, entrance to the middle way. There are two ways of seeing everything: the perfect way and the false way. So each and everything that can ever be found holds two natures within. And this is very interesting because it's saying it's holding these two natures within, and it is as if we see the two hindrances here, that we see things a false way and we see things in a perfect way. When the phenomena is returns to the source, then the cognition of the mind, the wisdom of the mind, everything is just this way. It holds the two natures, including that which appears to be separate from mind and appears to be real in this world. It understands all of it belongs to mind, belongs to the source. And what does perfect seeing see? This is very interesting. So if you became enlightened, what would perfect seeing see? I can't say what would you see because you wouldn't be there. But what does mind see? It is the suchness of all things. And false seeing sees the relative truth. This is what the perfect Buddha said. So when the mind returns to the source, it returns to the thusness of everything. It sees everything thusly as belonging to mind. When the mind has a false thinking, then it sees the relative truth. Relative means that something appears conditionally relative to something else, dependent origination. All of that still belongs to the mind, but when one is dwelling in relative truth, it cannot see the absolute. The absolute can see the suchness all the way through. This is really good stuff. From the Guide of the Bodhisattva's Way of Life by Shantideva, then wonders, these dreamlike beings, what are they? If analyzed, they're like a banana tree. We use the analogy of the banana tree, especially the ancients used it, because one could peel it and peel it and peel it looking for the core, right? But all you would do is end up peeling until finally there's no core. One cannot make definitive distinctions between transcending misery and not. So, is there a transcendence that's there? Not really, because it's already mind. Where are you going to go? I'm leaving. Where are you going to? You have to return to the source, but the source is just in this moment. That's what makes it easy, you see. It makes the practice so easy. When I tell you, and we come right back to the source of this whole lecture, is just sitting in the source. So that's it for today. Ended up right on time. So thank you for listening. I tried to weave a lot of different things together, some practice, some doctrine, some very profound writings on the middle way, which is where we were headed with all of this in any case. And so as you see it in this way, you see it can be very doctrinally profound, but it can also be profound simply by just resting the mind in the source. Not bad. So thank you all for listening. Please incorporate this in your practice. As they said, I'm setting up the Dharma practice for you in the causal stage. So if you practice well with this, you won't be led astray. Thank you very much for listening. Well, we already have the first one here. She beat Sam. Okay. Idil.
Hi, Master Gilbert. Hi, everyone. I was, first of all, thank you for the wonderful lecture again. When I heard you said there's no falseness, it's just relativeness to the truth, right? It made me think that there's no right or wrong, there's no true or false, there's isness. But why so this is what I'm trying to digest. That's why I just wanted to ask right away, because it's going to help me to digest. Why our bodies functioning with opposites? Like we have cortisol and oxytocin, and there are opposites physically, chemically. And how are they like relevant to Buddha Dharma?
Anything, it could be donuts. And it is just simply the apprehension of things and the suffering. So one can take a donut as a comfort food. One can take drugs in the same way, thinking that they are doing better. But anything that we do in this way, it's as if we're consuming salt water, drinking salt water. It is the ignorance that keeps us doing that, thinking that it will quench our thirst. But irregardless of whatever it is, whatever attachments, addictions, all of these are a source of suffering. Although the suffering is illusory to anyone who's in a dream, and they're in a dream and they're suffering, to them the dream is real and their suffering is real. But we understand causes and conditions never fail. If we stop drinking the salt water, then we will no longer have the thirst. And if we drink it, it's unquenchable. So we suffer lifetime after lifetime. Not only do we do that, but we have other people that suffer from things. Me, I have a back pain, and I have painkillers, and my doctor's so benevolent, he only prescribes me 10 at a time. and I hoard them because I fear there may be a time when I'm really going to need them. But I put those aside, understanding I cannot take them too often, or I may be addicted to them, because these are narcotic painkillers. But he understands, he knows who I am, and so he respects me. So he can give me the medicine, whereas to other people he would not give the medicine to. And it was very interesting. He gave me 10, and then I said, I still have 3 left. So he says, I'll refill your prescription, and he refilled the prescription for 7. So he really maintains that kind of thing. But in this way, he is a good doctor, as I am with all of you, and trying to prescribe you the bitter medicine and being able to hold off and say, okay, if I take this medicine, it's not really medicine, it's just masking the pain. So I have to endure with the pain, just as I am right now sitting here. I've taken a lot of over the counter that aren't working, and but nevertheless, you function in this way. You don't let the self guide you. You use the wisdom to do that. If I could ring a bell 5, 6, 10 times a day, where I'd want to reach for a narcotic pain pill, but I can't do that. So I know what will happen. I know the consequences. And I think that that's the part that's important in whatever we do, is we have to know the consequences of whatever we do. It's very easy to be caught up in those kinds of attachments. So hopefully I answered your question. I can't hear it too well, but hopefully that answered it. If not, it's a pretty good answer anyway.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
you're welcome. Other questions? No questions today. Oh, Nick, go ahead.
Hello, Gilbert. Not so much of a question. I just wanted to thank you for the great lecture. I'm not sure if you saw my question on mind work before the lecture, but this seemed to
On
be
the chat?
No, on the mind work form.
I'm
This seemed to
not
be
sure if I did or not. No, I normally respond to them. Sometimes I don't have the time, because I get like 50 to 100 communications a day.
That's
So I
okay.
do my best. But I'll take
Yeah,
a
no,
look and see what I can find. If you have a question, then ask it now.
well, no, I was going to just say that this seemed to be a full hour answer to my question. So I was mostly thanking you for that. So maybe you must have known, or mine must have known, but I just really wanted to thank you. This was a helpful guide to the practice, and answered the question. So Mami Tofu, and thank you.
Tofu. What I try to do, because I'm teaching the teachers as well, is you create a progression in the practice. So you're teaching, and then you kind of build on what you just taught, and then build again and again, but not leaving behind the novices. So the novices also, if they tune in, they can still plug into it and get something of benefit for themselves. So this is the way that we do this. Your questions that are arising are natural questions. And so I'm measuring the group progress as well as the individual progress of the people. And in this way, it's kind of the mind knows that, and it kind of knows where to go next with it. And so it's very interesting, even though I have a planned idea of what I'm going to do, that it's kind of like there was one person that talked about boxing, and he said all plans are good until the first punch, and then everything from there has to be natural and extinct and instinct, with what one does. And so as we practice in the Dharma, I begin to flow with the group and feeling the group and what the group collectively is interested in. And again, I always take it a little bit deeper for some, but then I try to bring the novice with me as well. So thank you, Nick. Any other questions? No, you guys must be full of New Year's punch. All right, Sam. And Sam and then Renee. Sam first.
Renee can bypass me, actually. I'm a ball hog, so
Well,
Renee
you're on,
can-
so go ahead.
okay.
Just speak
I'm
loud because get close to your microphone, please.
okay. Unfortunately, I am on call at my job right now, so I missed most of the lecture. But I just also, as Nick has said, would like to just thank you, Gilbert, for always taking the time to teach us and to really break down the Dharma in such a direct and deep way. And I just want to reiterate to everyone, please, like I know we do this every Monday, but if there's one actual light bulb that's gone off here, it's that it's a precious, precious opportunity to get to ask a real teacher questions and to get to demonstrate your understanding so you can see where this understanding is aligned with right view and where it's not aligned with right view. So just even if you feel like you don't have a question, ask a question. I did that a bunch. So I really wanted to just encourage that because this is so precious, and just over the years the gratitude has grown, Gilbert. So thank you, Gilbert.
Oh, you're welcome. And that's exactly the thing is ask your questions. You may have doubts or you may feel that you're going to look stupid by asking a question. There's no stupid questions like that. It is just, you're asking questions that other people have as well. And you look at it that way, you're doing a benefit to everyone. So I always appreciate Sam jumping in, and his questions are have evolved, from the very beginning to now, and become more profound and more serving of the community. So I thank him as well. Okay, Renee.
Oh, thank you, Gilbert. Thank you so much. Today's teaching about 理 跟 事 and 事 very important. So I just want to check my understanding. So I realized that we usually get totally bogged down in the stuff that happens every day and the phenomena. So we've always trying to fix or change things. That's why we are constantly stressed out. But for the real practice, and it isn't about tweaking what's happening on the outside. So it's should go straight to the principle, the 理. Just find these things are illusion. And so just seeing right through this fake nature. Just once we see that and stop chasing and just rest in the mind. So just let our mind to choose rest in the mind. Is that correct?
Your understanding is good. Just take out the we or the I from that, and it will be correct. It's natural because you're speaking in conventional language. So I am just correcting you solely for the purpose of you understanding that it is not you returning mind to mind, it's mind returning mind to its source, meaning that it's already there. So, but other than that, what you're talking about is correct. And so when you, whether you're listening to me or you're sitting in meditation, you just rest the mind. Sometimes when you're sitting in meditation, you can drop the mind down to your lower dandian. And for those who don't know what that is, it's like right below your navel. For the women, it's right at the navel. For the men, it's like 3 fingers below the navel. And just put your source of awareness there. And again, that's a good term, source of awareness, because, or we could say the awareness source. And so mind is just there. There is no you that is resting. Your mind is resting from the you. If you go into that, you're going to be going like, I don't feel it. I want to get up. I don't understand this. But returning the mind to its primordial essence, there's no you there. You were never there in the beginning. Somewhere along the line in beginningless time, there was this ignorance that created the illusion of individuals or lives and being. But when we no longer claim this to be our true nature and simply function in our true nature, voila, it's as if one is completely aware of what they're doing moment to moment. This one, I can't even call it a one because it's simply mind. And so, but in this way, if you practice in this way, it will work. You have the understanding of it, the foundational understanding, but the subtle change is the difference, that distinguishing phenomena from its intrinsic nature. So when you can distinguish phenomena, which is the essence of an ego, personality, life, or being that is arising in mind, it's not originally there. Mind can distinguish that even or much better when it's resting. The only thing is it doesn't move towards that or give it any mind energy. Giving it mind energy then will perpetuate the dream. The dream is created by mind. All we have to do is like wean the mind from this ignorance that's like a leakage of that that's there, that's bleeding off this pure energy of mind, but thinking that it is a world when it's just a dream. It's just something that came out of mind, like a blister on your foot. You could say it belongs to the body, but it's not healthy to the body. So why would you want to keep rubbing it, or doing the things that cause the blister to be there? Wouldn't you want to just alleviate the blister? And in that way, then the blister will be absorbed back into the body. It's the same way. So just remember, when they say, what did Gilbert teach you? He said, I'm a blister. So, well, you're in a blister, but you're all right. But if you practice in that way, it will work. I think you get the essence of it. And again, it's different nomenclature, different language. But if you begin to understand this language, which a lot of you do, then all of a sudden this begins to make great sense to you and generates profound wisdom. So thank you very much, Renee. We'll take Lily. Where'd Lily go?
Oh.
There you are.
Hello. Yeah, Amitofo.
Amitofo.
Thank you, Gilbert, for giving the lecture, and I want to thank the Sangha to be here at this moment. I feel very blessed to be in the community because at this time in the world and the place, and then we can practice Buddha Dharma is very auspicious uh, moment, a moment to moment, and so I very much cherish the time here. And but my question is about somehow related to this is that because there's a friend I'm now in Portland, Oregon, visiting my second home and then my second family here, and then a lady friend, she's like my big sister. She practiced Buddhism by just chanting and then chanting Heart Sutra and doing a lot of ritual. But today we in our journey, I was driving, I'm the designated driver. She was asking me, she said she doesn't know what is she practicing. She's not sure if she's a Buddhist or not. And because the reason why is that, I mean, imagine she's at her early 70s and then she done a lot of work. She had life experiences, seen a lot of things, and in the world, and also in the temple, she volunteered along with her families. But she had doubt because, first of all, she thought she saw people or some things happen in our life, in her life, that she thought that Buddhists, people who believe in Buddhism or people believe in Christian should behave certain way, and which she thinks that they are not doing it as they were doing, and that's where she wasn't really jump right in. However, she just do the chanting, and then lead to her question is that she say she chant Heart Sutra for over 10 years and she barely memorize it. And it's hard for her to memorize it. But then I asked her, do you understand what is the lyric or what is Heart Sutra? What does it mean? She said, I don't know what it means. I just try to memorize it. And then I was, at the time, I just have a thought, like, because I love her like a big sister. At the time, I was thinking that, oh, I hope someday Gilbert can talk to her, or she can meet up with Gilbert and Gilbert would teach her. Then after the thought, I thought of, oh no, we should learn how to understand what is Heart Sutra so we can share this with people around us. Then the whole day I'm trying to recite Heart Sutra and try to understand more. But no more I recite, then I got stuck on the first one. So Gilbert, what is the first one?
When Avalokiteshvara was coursing through the deep prajna paramita, he perceived that all five skandha are empty, thereby transcending all suffering.
So what is the Paramita? Like I'm like, oh, what is that? I used to know that, but I'm like tongue tied on this. But my question is that meaning? Is there a deeper meaning beyond just wisdom? Is there a deeper meaning that coursing through Paramita? Because we also practice in the human realm, or as a practitioner, we try to practice 6 paramita. But that's in our realm. We try to practice, the calmness, studious, and then, wisdom and giving and so on and so forth, meditation.
It is the difference between worldly wisdom and transcendent wisdom. When we practice the prajna paramita, prajna is the wisdom, paramita is the practice. It is that which the Madhyamaka teacher Nagarjuna really emphasized, because these are the perfections, the 6 perfections of the practice that enable one to to be in accord with mind, not with self. Worldly wisdom is just don't do that because it'll harm people or whatever. But when we practice the deep prajnaparamita, it transcends this world. It's that's why they say later on it's the unexcelled or supreme wisdom. It's able to remove all sufferings because it sees the world as a dream. It no longer sees it as something that is real nor not real. It just sees the suchness of how it's created. This is that suchness that was actually we were referring to in some of the Madhyamaka quotes that I said at the very end. In this way that we do that, you can start with her by telling her that you have to take a vow, the bodhisattva vow, to deliver all sentient beings before oneself. And that when we practice with vows like this, that's very important. Master Sheng used to say, to vow to deliver others before oneself is the initial generation of the bodhi heart of a bodhisattva. And he also said that to have a vow to break is a bodhisattva. To not have a vow to break is a non-practitioner. So when he's saying non-practitioner, it means that we're not truly practicing Mahayana. We're simply just practicing on a very surface, like I've been mentioning Bopomofo, ABC practice. And so it's still better than nothing to just recite them. I mean, there's still a practice and there's still merit to it, but they're not really penetrating through to the essence, and that's why they cannot understand what's appearing before them. They don't understand. They say, well, if you're a Buddhist, then how can you do these things? Well, if we have a vow to break, we're a practitioner. If we don't have one, we're a non-practitioner. We're not really, practicing in the right way. And so it's up to you to be able to explain it. You have to say, why can't I explain it to her? And I'm not criticizing you. I am encouraging you to look and say, what does the Heart Sutra mean? I go to retreats all the time, and people have never heard it in the way that I've explained it. And then in the commentaries at the end on retreats, they'll say, I never heard the Heart Sutra explained that way. But it is something that it goes to the very essence, that the perception that one uses is the perception of Avalokitesvara. This is the Buddha mind perception, not the perception of the skandha. Because the people's ignorance, they don't know that when they act badly, they're drinking salt water. And the ones that see them and discriminate and hold them in a bad light, they too are drinking salt water, because rather than being part of the problem, they're criticizing them and saying they're not really Buddhists. But how is it that we do that? That we have to see that this, our practice of Buddhism, it's a verb. It's something that we do, not that we call ourselves that. So you have to encourage her to penetrate deeper into that too. Like you said, you got to the first line and you go, wait a second, I don't really know what prajnaparamita is. Good. That's really good. That's like, okay, don't go to the next line till you find out what that is. You can Wikipedia it, Google it, whatever you do to find out what does that mean.
Yeah, I think this is the first time. I mean, I think today is the moment when she asked me. I think it's because of I really want to help her, and she's a really good person. So it's kind of a cracking a code that for the first time, I thought I understand Heart Sutra before. Okay, I know the wisdom, but then this is the first time I realized, wow, this is Jesus Buddha. that this Paramita is not just the heavenly wisdom or whatever wisdom, is actually, I don't know, it's like a photo for me that I have a picture in mind, like just like Da Vinci's picture in the temple or church, that human have a hand reaching out to the heaven, to the God. And it's that moment, the ET moment. And I realized, wow, this is first time I realized it's not just the wisdom we out of the space, it's the connection with the earth, like almost like an avatar that we have. I realized that we have the defilement in us, like a underlying entrenchment. But then how do we evolve and then still in the moment and uh in overcome or be brave to face the world and to understand the defilement, but still try to move forward, to reach out, to have contact with
The reason I'm spending so much time with her question is because there is a breakthrough for her in terms of understanding. Wait a second, I don't really know, an honest breakthrough saying, I don't know the heart sutra. I know it more than this other person, but looking at it and trying to explain it, I don't really know it completely. And so I'm smiling because this is a great opening, because now she's looking at what is wisdom? What is this wisdom? It's not this worldly wisdom. A penny saved is a penny earned type of wisdom, but it's this wisdom that transcends this world, that sees the world so clearly. And from her heart, she wants to know it. That's why Avalokiteshvara is a schooling Sariputra, because it's while it's a wisdom sutra, the product of this heart sutra is unbridled compassion. That's why Guan Yin is in the sutra. Otherwise, it would have been Manjusri Wen Shupu Sa, but it's not that way. So that's where you're hitting it, and you're looking at it and going, look, no, it's not real. It's empty. And this is this different wisdom where it transcends the idea of this world, so that world is no longer seen as a concrete world. It's seen as an illusion or as a dream. So keep studying that. Keep looking into it. Don't go to the next word unless you're sure of what you just read. What does course mean? Right now, all this time we've been coursing through the deep prajna paramita. For an hour and a half now, we've been doing that. So this is very good. So keep practicing in this way. Then you understand what the Heart Sutra means. It is a manifesto of Mahayana saying things are not real. They're empty. But in this emptiness, there's still Buddha nature. That Buddha nature is Wan Shin Sa, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva or Avalokiteshvara. And so when you see that, then that opens it up. When you see this, then when you say Namo Amitofo, it is reciting the infinite, the Buddha mind reciting Buddha mind. It's not dwelling anywhere. It's infinite. It escapes this dream. And then you know that you're here to practice provisionally. You're not really a citizen of this world, because now mind is there. You'll see. We'll continue on with this, but your question was a very good one, or commentary, because it's one that you want to teach others. And again, Shifu said, if you have never tasted pork but have smelled it cooking, and somebody asks you, what does pork taste like? At least you can tell them what pork smells like cooking. And kind of a strange one for him, being a vegetarian, but it's something that one can explain. And essentially saying you teach where you're at. And this is what I do. I teach from where I'm at. I don't withhold anything. And I have the interest in wanting to present the profound to those who will listen to it. So thank you very much, Lee. Wei Xiang, we have just a real quick time. Sorry.
Real quick, I, as a very amateur translator for you, I tend to pay attention to these translations and about the Li and the Shi, the principle and the phenomena and the cognitive hindrance and afflictive hindrance. I just want to say that the author, it shows the translator has a great command of Dharma. He used these two. He used the principal hindrance to replace the cognitive hindrance, and he used phenomena hindrance to replace the afflictive hindrance. I think that translation is beautiful. I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is why I spent the time in going over this, because I thought there was a great clarity in the descriptions that were being used, not only a scholarship, but a penetration of the understanding between the differences, even through the Yogacara and the awakening faith of Mahayana to the perfect enlightenment sutra. There's quite a bit of difference there. I would say it's subtle, but there is a clarification there, progression or evolution of it. So thank you. Yeah, it's that way. So thank you all for joining in. Encourage others to come in. Tell them don't be afraid. Oh, you were here, Letty. I didn't see you. But in any case, please continue to practice. And I have a bit of a rest before I get back on the road in February. So I will be here quite regularly, and we'll start developing my new training for this coming year. So thank you very much. And Penny, I just wanted, you can turn